Welcome everyone to Male Fuzz TV. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about Quantum Leap Season 1 Episode 4. It is called A Decent Proposal. So full spoilers for the episode as always. The leap, as revealed at the end of the last episode, Ben leaps into a woman in the 80s and comedy is likely to ensue. And they make a joke about his penis in the first it's not quite the first 30 seconds because they replay the part we already saw, but in terms of new footage, it's in the first 30 seconds. So, what did you think of A Decent Proposal?
I thought the episode was pretty good. Not as good as last week's. Last week's I thought was pretty great. This one I think takes a little bit of I don't know, things that I can nitpick at a little bit too much. But overall, I mean, the leap was fun. At least the first guy we got from the 80s had a mullet, the bartender. But seriously, I saw at least two Universal Studio backlot areas, and they don't have a wig department.
It's funny you said this actually, because I actually recognized the street from the pilot. I saw the exact same street corner and went, this is the same place. Is it? And I don't think it's meant to be the same place. I don't think it's meant to be the exact same location as when he was in the 80s in the first time. See in the first episode
they are in Los Angeles, right? In this one?
Was he in Los Angeles though in the first episode? When he leapt?
Can't remember.
Because it's the exact location. See, when he leaps in the first, when he leaps in the first episode, and he's sitting in the van. It's that corner. It's that street corner when he first wakes up that they park at in this episode and get out the car. And I'm like, I reckon this is the same place. This was 4 episodes ago.
That's funny. I didn't notice.
What are you doing? I get that you've only got so many backlots, and that's actually something that stuck out to me in this show. Is that I am genuinely noticing that there's some backlots which I don't think I've seen in TV dramas in a long time. I think there was a time when they were always in TV shows, and then they kind of moved away from them. Maybe in the late 90s,
they got too recognizable.
Yeah, early 2000s. I don't know, but the fact that I not only am I noticing them because they look a bit faker. You can tell it's a backlot and not a real street. But the fact that I've noticed the exact same one twice and we're only in episode 4 is maybe a little bit of a clear that up, all right? That's a bit distracting. See, if they'd used it say halfway through season 2 and maybe on a rewatch because you're binging it, you might notice. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll let you away with it. It's a good season and a half. But this is a few episodes later.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a case of because they had to go back and reshoot the pilot or half of the pilot because they changed what the leap was. I wonder if they had to just kind of rush and it was okay, this backlot's available, so we have to use it again.
Maybe they did it after they shot this episode.
Yeah, maybe it was a case of we can use it while we're already here doing other stuff. Maybe that's the reason for it, and it's just a logistical thing, which fair enough. But I noticed it, so
I did. You know how last week we were talking about how exciting it was that he leapt into a woman, and so we were going to be able to see the fish out of water stuff, and we had all these big ideas of what they could do and what would be funny.
For about 30 seconds,
yeah, they only did it for the first minute of this. So they got everything out, then it never really mattered that he was in another gender for the rest of the episode.
Even his clothes, I know obviously he wasn't wearing men's clothes, but it wasn't like he was even wearing a skirt, so he'd be awkward walking around or anything. I mean, Jen makes one joke, oh, he's lucky she wasn't wearing pantyhose because that'd have been awkward for him. But other than that, it never really feels like it matters beyond just because even the idea that he's in a romance with a guy, it never feels other than just the first moment where the guy proposes and it reveals, oh, this is the woman's boyfriend and now he's in this situation. Madison kind of, or Addison, so not Madison. Addison gives a little smile, oh, this is pretty funny. When the girl was kissing you the last time, I wasn't very amused by that, but this is funny. But yeah, they don't really do that much with it beyond that point. It's not really a factor for the rest of it.
Yeah, it didn't feel all that awkward. Even just to jump to the end real quick, just on this point, we do see what's his name, Biff, Jake. We do see Jake kiss him, but he goes for this forehead kiss. You guys are boyfriend and girlfriend and like maybe you're about to be engaged and you go for a forehead kiss. Like all I can think of, cowards. You know, I was so mad that they didn't do a kiss. Like, come on.
Yeah, it feels about... given the premise of what Quantum Leap is and knowing what it's going to be, I can't imagine they cast a lead actor who wouldn't be willing to do those scenes. So the only thing I can think of is that either the network don't want those types of kisses in their show, or that maybe the guest star, and this is not to throw Justin Hartley under the bus because I'm sure he's a nice dude, but you know, maybe he didn't want to do like a guy on guy proper kiss or something. I don't know, but it's a show that feels like it's a modern progressive show, so it feels kind of weird if they're going to dodge it, you know?
It really feels like they dodged it in this.
Yeah, no, that is a very fair point. I was kind of like, they never did it early on, but I was fine with it because I thought, oh, it's the awkwardness because he proposes to her and Ben's like, oh, I can't say yes or no for this woman, so I'll just have to be awkward about it. So I get why there's no intimacy for most of the episode, but yeah, like I thought they were saving it for the ending when he kind of fixes the relationship and he was going to have to do a big proper smack in the lips kiss.
Even if they were like their heads were getting together and close and then the leap out happens, that would have been, you know, all right too.
Or they do that thing where the camera spins around and it switches to her for like the kiss and switches back, or you know, some sort of
that would have been kind of cute actually, dramatic
thing. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you know, this isn't going to be the last woman, so they have more chances. Seriously, if you're going to do 80s and you have this guy in a Canadian tuxedo who's named Jake and is literally a bounty hunter and he doesn't have a mullet, it's just mind-blowing. It doesn't make any sense.
That just feels like a logistical thing. Like they don't want to have to go through the effort of giving people mullets and other haircuts.
At least your lead guy.
Well, the lead guy wouldn't have a mullet. Because we all see Ben as Ben.
Okay, you know what I mean. Not Ben or whoever Ben is left into. But Jake.
Okay.
Jake should have one.
I'm trying to imagine Justin Hartley with a mullet, and it's difficult to picture, I have to say.
I did like his Tom Cruise sunglasses that he puts on at one point. They look straight out of Top Gun.
Yeah, maybe it is a fair thing to say that, you know, we've had 2 episodes out of 4 set in the 80s, and neither one have felt that 80s, other than the music maybe. Like, obviously the bar scene at the start is the most 80s it felt, because there was a lot of 80s music, and there was some extras looking kind of 80s-esque. But then after that, it didn't really matter that much. And I kind of get it to an extent, because we can't, like, we're going to be in the 80s probably, you know, if the show lasts a long time, probably dozens of times, because it's a popular decade. Not every single time can we make it feel super 80s. Sometimes it won't matter that much that it's the 80s, but it is kind of weird that you'd expect this show with its premise right at the start to really like look at the time period we're in, like really milk it the first time they're there. And they haven't really done that, which I think it sticks out with the 80s because I've done it twice now, whereas I didn't really feel that, but I wasn't that fussed last episode with the 70s. I wasn't like, this is weird that they're not doing more with the time period.
Plus the costumes looked alright in the 70s one. They had like the collars that were really elongated.
Yeah. Also, I love that you called his denim outfit a Canadian tuxedo, because I really just heard that for the first time like a week ago.
Really?
Yeah, I'd never heard
denim
that phrase
on
before.
Denim. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never owned a denim top. I wear jeans all the time, but I've never worn a denim top, so I've never quite...
I don't, because, you know, I am still technically a Canadian, so I don't want to fall into the stereotype.
It would be a stereotype.
When I go back to Canada to visit family, I will. Maybe I'll don it.
Okay.
I have a big old Canadian patch on the back.
Yes. So Canadian tuxedo is denim top and bottoms, and for reference, a Scottish salad is a bag of chips. And when I say chips, I mean fries for Americans.
Oh.
That's referred to as a Scottish salad.
Why Scottish and not Irish? Aren't they known for potatoes?
They're known for potatoes, yes, but for whatever reason, the idea of being into fried food is more of a Scottish stereotype.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so there you go, bit of trivia for you. Anyway, yeah, so the leap, honestly, the leap's plot did have some fun moments, but it was definitely less interesting or dramatic as last time. It turns out the woman that he's in is like a bounty hunter which kind of right away was like, okay, this is like you've put him in a woman, but you're putting him in a woman who's like used to fighting bad guys and has like tasers and weapons and shit. I was like,
it was a pretty funny line when Ben punches some guy and
honestly,
and his fiance says, "What are you like been boxing on the side?" And he goes, "Actually, yes."
Honestly, that may be my favourite moment of the episode, just because I like the idea that he picks up some of these skills that are actually useful as time goes on.
Yeah.
He's learned how to throw a decent punch, so that's actually... I imagine he's going to be throwing a lot of punches over the course of the show, because he's going to be in these situations.
Well, the premiere, he threw a punch, and it hurt his hand because he had never done it before.
So that's a nice little... it's almost an intentional little like arc, almost.
How about that?
It's not really an arc, but you know what I mean. It's like a nice little look, he can punch now because he had a boxing episode. I love that little moment. It's maybe my favorite of the whole episode, and that's not to throw the rest of it under the bus. Like it was generally pleasant. I like the stuff with the present day cast. Particularly, you'd already told me this, but it was nice to actually have like Magic come out and tell you, okay, you're going to be looking at all these confidential files. I'm going to have to fess up about my backstory. And he, says about being leapt into by Sam, and that kind of ties it to the original show a bit more. Yeah,
I love this stuff. Like we get so much juicy details here about what it's like to be leapt into. One of the really cool things is that the way he describes it is like it's like you're at a door and someone else is trying to enter from the other side. And he says that he allows him
that was the part
to happen. So like there is some sort of consent going on.
That was the part that was interesting to me, was when he said, I let that door open. It was like, oh, that's interesting. So on some maybe subconscious level, you are actually saying, yes, come in to the Leaper. That is quite fascinating.
That is really cool. And also like it kind of helps out for some,
some of the dodgier elements.
Gray areas.
Yeah.
I thought that was very, very cool. I did think it was a bit weird that they get a food truck at their super top secret government base.
It wasn't at the base.
Food truck?
No. Ian said that he walked him to a park.
Okay. Yeah.
They walked to a park? That's not weird.
Okay. I don't know. I guess there's parks nearby. Top secret government facilities.
I don't think the facility's in a secret location. I think it probably just looks like an office building. It's just secret what they're doing inside it.
Okay, maybe you're right.
What did you? You would say this was Area 51? Like,
I was thinking, why would they?
No.
Why would they? I mean, I worked at a company that got a food truck like every Wednesday. Like that's pretty cool that this company does it too. But it's the military and it's top secret. It's weird.
Ian says, because they crack a joke about how if they were in a relationship, this would be like, oh, you're probably about to break up with me. Magic walked them to a park to have this conversation. So this is not in the secret, and I assume that the location's not secret. No one knows what's happening. It's probably just like it's an office building. Maybe it's a
dog-friendly, super secret government facility, so they have to have a little grass area.
I don't think this is as silly as you think it is. They just walk to a park that's nearby. This is not that weird.
Okay.
It probably just says it's like a paper company or something on the outside, and that's it.
Oh, cute.
Or hell, I don't even know if it has to be, it can still say it's the CIA or something. It's just no one has to know that it's this particular secret project.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you came in thinking this was you found the smoking gun. And I'm like, it's not, it's just...
It just made me laugh, that's all. I like to laugh at the show.
Okay.
With the show.
Yes, with the show. There are absolute critiques to have. Like when Magic's telling this story, he's like, "Oh, do you know how I got the name Magic? It's because I always made sure my platoon in Vietnam." Which, by the way, like we're getting quite on from Vietnam. Like he has to be, like 70 now. Because it's been
Hudson,
it's been about 50 years since Vietnam, so he must have been like at least 18 in Vietnam.
Yeah, probably.
So we're getting on where people basically what I'm saying is
a pretty old guy. He just looks good.
What I'm saying is that people from Vietnam now are what people in World War II were when we were born. That's the difference in time that's been made up now.
Right.
Yep. But anyway, so and there's a moment where Ian says, "Oh yeah, that's amazing," and it came off as this like really super nice TV line that just felt a little bit forced to me.
Yeah, I was waiting for the "thank you for your service," but I think they're both in the military technically. I don't know.
I think they're in the CIA. I think it's the CIA, which is technically not the military.
Well,
no,
he's an admiral in charge.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. And yeah, it was because he even goes out to say that his position as admiral is what let him look at these, and he sort of like, wait, what's this? And he basically, but that's the other part I like to this is that it was kind of a mystery to him for a long time until he was able to read what Quantum Leap was and went, wait a minute, this explains what happened to me. This explains my experience.
He sees pictures of Sam, and he goes, I've had dreams about this man I've never met for
how many people have been dreaming of Bakula for decades
97 now. Episodes.
You have to assume there was more after though.
Oh yeah, that's what I assume.
Yeah, more people were getting helped because that's the thing, like when he says like, you know, I did this because I want to try and help Sam and find him, because what he did for me and so many other people is he is so deserving of being saved, which just kind of, again, like I feel like they're really hitting on this idea that like this show almost exists in some way to one day kind of like tie up that loose end and give.
Honestly, like the way he talked about it in this, I'm like, I really hope that Scott Bakula does come back for an episode now, because like otherwise, you know, Al spent his life and died without knowing what happened to Sam. Don't let magic do the same thing.
Absolutely,
come on, Scott Bakula.
Yeah, he might just be, you know, like they know to lie. Is what I'm saying. They know this.
I mean, they are actors, right?
Yeah. But you know, it was kind of sweet. It was like this great detail that tied it back. And obviously, you'd already told me that he's based on a character that was in an original episode, and
it's a really good episode too.
And I think this. You know, if anything I could have done with it, because they did like a couple of quick flashes that they'd obviously shot for this, which was like, you know, just a couple of quick, like, soldier with a gun, like, shot kind of thing. And I almost thought, like, I almost wish he didn't do that. Like, let it just be in my imagination till I see the original show. And then it can just be what there was in the original show, you know? But that's a minor of minor nitpicks. It's not a big deal.
Have they done any flashbacks to the original show? I guess this is it. The only one.
No, they've used photos of the characters, but they've not used footage.
Yeah.
You know, they've used in-universe, like here's a photo of Sam kind of thing from the hologram, but
right.
That's it. Yeah, so, really nice detail. That's basically all the future stuff, really. Other than Jen telling Addison that, oh, by the way, Ben was lying about
all your history
going
for
places.
The last 6 months.
Yeah, every time he said he was going out to get some like milk or something, like, yeah, he might have been conspiring. We have to.
He was sneaking off to Pasadena to meet up with another woman.
So that's that stuff. Obviously, the big development before we get to just what the leap itself's plot was is that, you know, Ben's like, hey, I had a girlfriend, right? Because like I keep dreaming of like this woman lying next to me, and I miss her. Like I don't know who she is, but I miss her. Like I have that feeling. And Addison's poker face completely drops, and I'm like, how did he not figure it out in that moment? Because the way she looks at him is like, oh, don't know, my God, my love.
Yeah. Definitely not me.
I'll be honest, I was not expecting him to figure this out by the end of episode 4.
I'm glad they did, because this is a thing that, you know, her poker face has been so bad, and it's like, come on, he's gonna look like an idiot if he doesn't figure it out soon.
So I appreciate that it's not drawing some of these things out that felt like they could, because I think some shows would draw this out for a whole. I could see another version of this show not having this moment. This could be like the end of the finale for the season, would be him realizing that it's her. And I think other writers might have done that. So I appreciate that they didn't. I will say that unlike the past few episodes, I do think him having the little flashback where the dad's like, sometimes the truth's right in front of you, you just don't realize it. I thought that was a bit much. I thought that was too on the nose.
Because, well, we didn't need the flashback, because when he said it like in the actual episode to Ben, I was like, oh, just like Addison. I didn't need it.
I felt like it was being spoken down to. It felt like it was like, hey, dumb audience, like here's like how this was relevant to what you said earlier, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I could have done without that. So, but like I appreciate that.
Previously on earlier in this episode.
that's what it was basically.
Yeah.
See, when it's something that happened 2 seasons ago that most people might have forgotten, I get it. Like I understand why you're putting the little flashback in, but this was stupid. You know, I did like them like going to hold hands and Then I think it's still worth mentioning that he doesn't remember her, or he doesn't remember their relationship. He just remembers that he misses someone, and now he remembers that it's her. So he knows that he's in a, but it's not like he remembers what their actual life has been together. He doesn't remember their dates. He doesn't remember their anniversaries or engagement. Yeah. So, but obviously it opens some new doors to conversations that obviously are going to like be brought up now. Yeah. So yeah. Were you surprised that we didn't get a follow up to Janice with the computer?
Yeah,
and all that?
I mean, she gets a mention.
Gets a mention,
so we get some updates, and they are interesting updates. But yeah, we didn't get. This was really heavy into the leap of an episode, and Magic has the moment outside of the leap, really, and then that's it. Like, we spent a lot of time with the actual leap this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's only really 2 scenes, but it's very much Magic's B plot. Like, he's got the important scenes and the present day stuff, and then everything else is in the leap, which is fine. And it's kind of a caper with like because this was the other thing, is I thought I thought I missed something early on, because when they're like, okay, why are you in this sleep, what is the purpose of this one, when they started talking about this woman with the unpaid parking tickets, I thought, wait, how is this important to this character? And I'm like, oh, it's just a bounty. I was like, how is this like more personally connected to the, and it never really was.
What's the thing you have to really fix? Yeah
And well, technically, yeah, he did end up fixing their seemingly, or maybe, yeah, because I think at the end she says, oh, they've got grandkids now and stuff or something. But I felt like a tenuous link to the characters, all this parking ticket stuff with the lady, who, of course, like, yeah, there's some wackiness where she turns out to actually be the mob boss and she's evil or something.
The scene when they're in like the alleyway and they've got her handcuffed and then get distracted and she runs away, and they both see her running away, like she hasn't gotten very far yet, and they're like, we'll find her later.
Do you know what this is? This is
I was so mad. Like, what? She's right there. You see where she's going. Chase her.
Do you know what this scene was? This was them doing their impression of the hair, makeup, and wardrobe department when someone said, "Hey, make them all look like they're in their 80s." They sort of looked over and went, it's fine. She got away. It's fine. That'll do. Someone else's problem now.
Yeah, and you know what that led to? Her murdering somebody. They're there to help.
That's true. Her husband, she murdered. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend.
He was going to pop the question. Remember?
That's right. Yeah, I think the leap in this is a little duller. I think because I don't think the twist that she's actually the bad guy isn't really that entertaining. I think she's only mildly entertaining before that. They're going for sort of light comedy with her, and I don't think she was ever that interesting. Obviously, the heart of it's meant to be, this woman and Jake, her possible fiance. Obviously he kind of turns it down at first, Ben that is, and then it gets murky. But that's kind of the thing you're supposed to care about in fixing. I don't think it had the emotional weight that, like saving this guy from committing suicide the last episode did.
Right, yeah, that was a heavy one. I was going to say heavy hitter, but that seems too on the nose. So.
It's funny because obviously, I'm surprised Justin Hartley did this small part, because I think after This Is Us, he's kind of like a big, in TV land anyway, he's a big deal. So I'm kind of surprised they got him first. I know it's. And that was an ABC show, so the NBC's. I don't know if there's a tie with the production company or something, but I think the reason why they cast him in this is because it's almost a shortcut, because he's such a nice, charming guy and a lot of people already like him. That it's like, oh, this will make you care about it, and I think he's pleasant enough, but I didn't care emotionally about his relationship with this woman just because he's nice.
Honestly, the emotional stuff came with Addison and Ben at the end for me, because I do care about their relationship, so. Yeah, that was where the emotion was. I didn't really care about the couple.
I wouldn't say I felt much for it, just because I did think it was kind of heavy-handed, like I said, with the flashback to it's right in front of you. I do appreciate it from a mechanical point. It's kind of a cold way to look at it, but I appreciate that this is opening new doors, and I appreciate that they didn't drag it out. The actual moment, I didn't necessarily feel too much in the moment itself, because it was a bit too ham-fisted and heavy-handed.
Yeah.
So... it's a push and pull. It's not. It's maybe the weakest episode, I would say, of the 4.
The pilot was pretty weak for me, but
I had more fun with the action in that though, when he's like having to drive the car, like in the getaway and stuff.
Yeah, the car scene's very good in that one. It was a good chase scene.
Like I feel like this one, I think just, well, it had the great magic scene, which was a great bit of like mythology. Not only, I think whether or not you've seen the original show or this is just like a bit of mythology new to you, I think either way this was a great thing because it had new stuff in it for people who have seen the original show and ties this show more to it, which is great. But even if you're just completely new, all of it's quite fascinating and feels like, oh, this gives a new dimension to the leaps themselves and the people who are being helped.
It adds a lot to the original show by just adding that little detail.
It's a nugget, basically. It's almost nothing, but it's just a little thing that means so much to...
Yeah, it was pretty exciting to hear, though, because honestly, it wasn't even something I ever considered. Like, maybe he would ask permission in a way. And that's when, the leap was chosen. And Sam just didn't remember doing that because it's like something else is doing it for him.
Yeah, I was going to say,
guiding him.
I don't think it's even a conscious thing that Sam, or in this case Ben, is doing. I think it's like when he goes to leap, I think there's just like a natural thing that's happening inside. Like if they don't accept the leap, I assume they leap to the next, right. most likely spot or person,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I think that's really cool.
That's nice.
And, they haven't really, I don't think they've really discussed it on this show yet, but there is, I'm pretty sure anyway, in the original show that there is space between the leaps. Like, he can be lost for a little while.
That's interesting.
They actually, I don't think the leaps are instant like they're depicted in the show. I think that's just his consciousness is shown to be instant for him.
That's something that either is changed or maybe they'll get into in time. They'll maybe bring up that, even though for him it's instantaneous, from his perception, in actual fact, he's spending some limbo time. Maybe you could say that's when he's sleeping, effectively. That's when he's getting his rest. Because consciously, he still needs the rest. He'd be all wired if he was awake the whole time.
Yeah.
He'd be strung up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, the leap at the end. He leaps into. I think when I saw photos or whatever, I said cowboy. Obviously, it's more Native American now. Now that we actually see the leap, where he comes into the middle of an emotional scene where like this woman's like crying and saying he's a bastard for leaving, basically, and he's like, "Huh? What? I'm sorry."
I think he plays her grandpa.
Yeah. I think it's a relative, either father or grandfather or something like that. But he goes outside and it kind of. I thought it was interesting because I think in most other episodes so far, it's cut back to the present day crew, and then it shows you where he's went at the very end. This actually just went straight from him leaving and then popping back up here, and then it's him walking outside and seeing the Western style set. That's like, next time it's Back to the Future Part 3, kinda.
Yeah, it looks like he ended up in Canyon Country.
Which should be fun. It's a completely different location. I can see Addison having more jokes, but obviously I suspect they're going to have some awkward interactions because they now know that there's some truth on the table, but it's also kind of cloudy because he doesn't remember the actual events necessarily. He just remembers a general, oh, you're the love of my life, but
Yeah, maybe she'll take her time before she meets up with him. Like, what am I going to say now? And also, we can't really tell what year this is, but when he walks out, like, it is Old West looking.
Okay, I don't think they're going to do it in the next episode, but what if they pull a twist in an episode where you think you're in like an old time period, but then it turns out to be like a TV set, like towards the end of the episode?
Yeah.
Or something silly like that. Oh man, there's potential. Let's just say there's a certain Shyamalan movie that I'm thinking they could do a twist on. Yeah. Fun. Yeah. So I still had a pleasant enough time watching the episode, but I think it probably is the weakest overall because of just the actual antics of the leap not being as fun and a couple of heavy-handed elements. But the magic scene is really good and is a nice little touch. That makes the episode important, even if the rest of it's a little under par compared to the rest.
I do kind of want to talk about the Al's daughter stuff.
Sure.
Because they do mention that she's working on some kind of code that is trying to see what all of them are doing and what kind of decisions they would make for the future.
No, that's I'm glad you're bringing this up, actually. This is quite interesting because I think on the one hand you could read it, and I think this is the face value read, which I think you're supposed to brush past so you're not guessing things coming up. But the face value that I think the characters are taking it as oh, she's just trying to use it to like predict our moves so she can like outsmart us. Whereas in actuality, I feel like it's hinting that no, she's trying to use the tech to predict actual future. And
that's what I was going with too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that goes back. I mean, I was saying I want someone to like turn out to be a leaper from the future in the present day stuff, because that could be fun. And this kind of feels like it's sort of tapping into that side of the ideas. Like, yeah, like if this keeps going forward, then eventually, maybe there'll be
keep slingshotting around time periods.
Yeah, what if Ben leaps into one of them or something? What if it targets Magic because Magic's had it happen before, so he'll know that he's letting them in, and it'll be like, oh, he'll like, hey, yeah, on you go, like, yeah, I don't know, there's some ideas there.
That would be pretty cool too. I
think it's clear that they're willing to play with what the concept of the original show was and do different and new things with it. Like, I think it's one thing to want just a copy of the old show, but I think it makes sense that they're saying, okay, what else can we do with this format and like shake it up on a regular basis and like do different things with the technology. Like, it makes sense for me to do that. I know some old school fans are like wanted to just be like the original show. I think that's a little unfeasible, and TV has changed too much for that. Don't get me wrong, there's some modern TV things about it that are negatives, because like everything's super glossy, sometimes the writing is too TV nice and things like that, or heavy handed. There's definitely elements that are negatives of it as a modern TV show. I think the desire to like explore the ideas further though is not one of them. I actually think that's a good like addition to the modern version.
I mean, I guess the counter would be like, look at Strange New Worlds versus the other Star Treks. That one came out. That one was just like, let's just do it like the old show. And most people really love that version of it. Although, that being said, if Strange New Worlds was the very first new Star Trek to come back, I think it still would have gotten a lot of hate.
I think
much like because it would have been, it's just so shockingly different from the other stuff.
I think obviously there's people who would just like it or dislike it because it's different. I think part of the problem is, and I know you love Discovery, but I do think there is definitely a mixed reaction to what the quality of that show is, right? I think if Star Trek, let's say Next Generation happened in Star Trek, right, and then there wasn't another show after that, we just went decades without Star Trek. I think if the first show that came back after a 30-year gap was Deep Space Nine, which is very different, but it is far more modern in its serialized storytelling, I think people would be praising it to the moons, because it's a very modern version of what a Star Trek show could be. I think that's what people were kind of hoping for or wanting more out of what the new serialized, like, high prestige Star Trek would be. And instead they got Discovery, which is a bit more action based and a bit more, what it is. Like, I don't want to get into it, but it is what it is. I think it would be seen a lot differently. I think the reason why this potentially works is because I don't think it's dropping the ball. I think, there's some nitpicks to be had, and there's some network TV things about it that are kind of, shallow.
Just get some wigs on set, man.
But like, and it's a shame that they didn't do more with the fact that he's for the first time in a woman's body, because like there's definitely more, and I know they're going to do it again, but it feels like the first time it happens should be the time that it weirds them out the most. Yeah,
literally, like every single time that Sam leaps into a woman, it's always a big deal. Like, there's always something very specific to being a woman that he's going through.
And I'm okay with it not being a big deal every time forever, because eventually he should get used to it, other than maybe say he leaps into a woman like during a pregnancy, so it's like so this is a really specific thing that he's not done before, and maybe that'll freak him out. But like, I'd be okay with that. But like, although Ian having a little like, wait, he's going through a gender challenging experience and I wasn't here, I did think that was a funny little line from them. Yeah,
I have to go do IT stuff.
that was cute. That was all right. Funny. So yeah. Also, before we wrap up, though, we should mention that there was some news yesterday about the show. It's not been renewed for a second season, but a very good sign is that they have ordered more episodes. They have ordered, I believe, 6 additional episodes. It was 12 to begin with, which is actually one less than normal. Do I know what I think that is? I think that's because technically them redoing the pilot means that they counted that as one, and
for budgeting.
Yeah. So usually you get 13, but this only had 12, and I think it's because the same thing happened, funnily enough, with the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Season 1 of that had 12 because they had an unaired pilot that got redone because they wanted to reshape it a little bit. So I think it's the same thing here, and that's why it's 12 instead of 13. But yeah, it's going to have 18 episodes now total is the news. So that's a good sign. They wanted more of the show.
Yeah, people are watching.
Yeah. We will start the original show whenever it goes on a break. So any week that it's not airing, we'll do a classic episode. So obviously,
start with Genesis.
So obviously over the summer you'll get a lot back to back, but there will be a little break. So it's definitely going to go on a break for a few weeks over Christmas, if nothing else. So you'll definitely get some of that in the near future. So
yeah,
look forward to that. But yeah, so
I heard there's a Halloween episode since Halloween lands on a Monday this year.
Ooh. And that's the other thing I should tell you is that we will not have a review of next week's episode at the usual time because I'm taking a week off, my first week off in literally like 5 years. So what will happen is that we'll do 5 and 6 together the following week. So don't worry that there's not a review next week. We will talk about both episodes the week following. So you've been warned. I should have said that at the start because some people turn off before the end. I should have made that clear at the start. But I'll put out some posts and stuff as well. But that is Quantum Leap episode 4. So
bring on the next one.
I mean, to be fair, the nicest thing I can say right now is that this was probably its weakest episode, but there were still good things in it, and it's not hampered my like wanting to watch the next one. You know, I'm still quite. I don't know if I'd say I'm excited per se, but I'm definitely quite happy to watch the next one. You know, it's a very watchable TV show. Like, you know, it's just,
yeah, definitely.
It's just not something that feels like a chore to sit down and get through, right? By any means.
Yeah. I've got my friends watching it too, and they're all enjoying the show.
And that ideally only gets easier in time because you start to kind of like the characters more and more. And I'd say that I am. You know, like Jen has little moments, Ian has little moments, and Magic has little moments that I'm kind of like, oh, you know.
I can't remember the Jen lines in this, but I do remember that I enjoyed them.
There was the pantyhose line, and then there was telling
Addison together.
Yeah, it was telling Addison about the Ben stuff, and yeah, she had one or two. I mean, she didn't have a big. I'm sure we'll get a more Jen focused. Because we've had an Ian focused one when they were working with Addison. This was a Magic more focused like present day plot. I feel like there'll be a Jen one coming up at some point.
There better be. Yeah,
so cool. There you go. That's episode 4 of Quantum Leap. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at mail_fudge for channel updates, and you can of course go over to patreon.com/mailfudgetv and support all the content over there and keep it all coming, as well as hitting the super thanks button on the YouTube video if you want to. Any and all help is appreciated. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Quantum Leap. Be a leaper, not a leper. What's that reaction?
You settled on a line last week.
Did I? What was it? I forgot it. What was it?
And Ziggy, add vanilla.
Oh, that's right. And Ziggy, add vanilla.